Hello and welcome back to the vinyl review. Now, video number 2, and it's an obvious question: why vinyl? Okay, why do I listen to records? Why do I buy records? Why do I have them? What's the point? And it all dates back to, I suppose, where my music collecting and music listening started. And it started with these things: the humble cassette tapes, or tapes as we call them. I mean, these were brilliant. I mean, you can't do this, you can't do that with a record, it's going to damage it. They're amazing things. They were tough, they were simple, they were fairly small for their time. You could stick them in a Walkman or a cassette player at home, and they were pretty reliable. And despite what a lot of people think, they were amazingly high quality for what they were, and they still are today. If you have a decent cassette and a decent cassette player, they are incredible. But they're small and they're little, but what you did get with them was you got these. You got your inlay cards. Look at this. You had an inlay card. Look, there's all the information, there's thanks from the artists, and look at this. How amazing is this? This is a place where you can order merchandise. You could select a t-shirt and fill it in. You just add in your money or your check or postal order, whatever it was back then, and you'd stick in your amount and you'd post it off, and they would send you back a t-shirt. How cool is that? You just don't see that sort of stuff anymore. I will talk about this album in greater detail in other times, but because it's quite special to me, that album. But yeah, that was cassettes and tapes, and logically that moved on to these bad boys, CDs. CDs were such a big development. The music was a lot cleaner, the sound was better, and once again you got information, you got things, you got inlay cards. And this was the first CD I ever had. It wasn't one I bought, it was one I was given. To the best of my knowledge, I think this was the first one. I'm a child of the 80s, born in the 80s and grew up sort of listening to music through the 90s and into the 2000s. And who in that age group didn't come across this album at some point or another? I mean, the content of the album was amazing. The swearing, the content was just obscene, and it was something your parents would have hated. So it was a brilliant album. But this is a good example of what you got. You got information. I would receive this CD as a present, and I would have then put it in my CD player, and I would have opened this up and looked through it, and I would have looked at the individual track information, the photos. This is like a music video set out on paper. And you've got the individual thank yous. You've got a thank you from the band, and then there's Praz, Lauren and Wyclef. You've got all the information from them. They're saying thank you to who they thank and why they thank them, and that's special. It is something tactile, it's something real you can look at, and that's, to me, that's amazing. Check this out. Check it out. Since when have you got this with a download or a stream? Look at that. A reproduction of a hand-drawn fine line skyscape or cityscape, if you like, of New York City. Good old Beastie Boys, never one to back down from some unique and creative content. This is why I liked real physical media, physical format. That was something that was always special, and it's something you don't get with this. A download, an MP3 or a stream or something like that. You don't get this kind of content. All right, it moved on to Minidisc, and Minidisc was slightly different. I didn't go down the road of buying pre-made Minidiscs. I recorded mine, but these were great. These were, a CD in a box, if you like. These were fantastic, and sadly they didn't really live as long as they should have. I know they're still around today. I know they lasted longer than people thought they did, but as a format, you could buy an actual proper printed ones. They never really took off in the same way that tapes or CDs did. And through all this, you've been left with vinyl records. Now, going back to the likes of the tape and the CD, what you got with these, as opposed to or what you get with these, as opposed to a download or a stream or watching it on YouTube or wherever, is you get something physical. You get something to look at. This is what the artist pictured in their mind when they wanted you to look at or buy or listen to the album. This is their creation. Now, when you have a download or stream or something, the only similarity between this and this is the music that you listen to. I'm not talking about sound quality, I'm talking about the songs, the tracks, the lyrics. Yes, it's all there, it's all in the download or whatever, but that's it. That's the only part you get the music, and that's it. Right? And even then, the quality of that can depend on what you're using it through or what you're listening to it with. What you don't get is the artwork. What you don't get is the unique character and individual artistry of the musician or the artist or the MC, whatever it is you're listening to. You don't get it with a download or something. With a physical format like a tape or a cassette or a record in particular, you get it. And what is so special about records or vinyls, whatever you want to call them, is the size and the volume. It's a bigger canvas. The artist has a bigger canvas to create their work with and to present their passion on. And these are just some brilliant examples of that. I mean, let's take a look at good old Hendrix, and this even opens in a weird way, which is a bit odd. This isn't an original. This is a sort of repress, a different version. It might even be a bootleg. I'm not sure. This was from I think a comic store made this. I'm not even sure which one. It's some sort of numbered copy. I'll go into it, I'm sure, at some point when we do another review. But just have a look. How cool is that? You don't get that. A see-through orange record. You don't get that with a download. You don't get that by listening to it on YouTube. Okay? It's special. So when I first bought this, and I bought this second hand, when I opened it up, I didn't actually know it was orange. And can you imagine how happy I was when I opened that? Just to see that and to hold it. And it's heavy as well. I think this is actually it's not even a 180. I think this is a 200 gram pressing, which is something a bit different. So I'll put that away properly later. Let's take a look at this. So this is a good old Tom Misch. It's a regular black vinyl. Actually very dusty. Not sure how it got so dusty. It's quite new actually, this. I haven't had it that long. This is something I bought new. But let's take a look inside, and of course you get the lovely artwork. I mean, I forgot to mention this is actually embossed. These patterns are embossed. This is I don't know if you can pick it up on there. These are shaped into the sleeve. Take a look. You get an art print that you can put on your wall or something if you wish. And look at this, an actual booklet with artwork in there, and this is a really nice sort of lovely textured print. It's a fantastic thing to look through. And again, this has come out, his head, Tom Misch, the artist, and Yusuf Days, of course, this is a partnership album. This is what they envisaged when they made this album. This is what they wanted the listener or the fan, whoever, this is what they wanted them to see. They wanted them to listen to the music, and while they listen to the music, to see this, to see how they created it, to see what they created it, what was going through their mind when they made that album, when they wrote those songs. We'll do one last quick look. Let's take a look at this. De La Soul always pioneers in creating something a little bit different, something a bit new, something a bit fresh, and this is one of their sort of mid-time albums, I suppose. Not one of the latest, not one of their earliest. Part one of the 3-part Artificial Intelligence series. I think it was 3, or it was supposed to be anyway. Artificial Intelligence, Mosaic Thump. Now, They've given you this space on the record, on the sleeve rather, to put some artwork on there. Obviously you've got some information on the back, but then you've had space to look inside. You've got the 3 individuals. I don't know if you can see all that, that they've given you that space. And then this actually, if we open this up, check this out, it folds out. If we remove the records from here, they're a bit old and tatty. It's a massive, massive poster, a huge fold out poster. You don't get anything like this experience when you download something or when you stream something. And that's it. That's the answer. That's why I listen to records. When I buy a record, I take it out, I look at the actual record. Sometimes it's just a plain black one, sometimes it's coloured, sometimes it's something a bit different, and I put that on the record player, and then I sit down, and listen to it while looking at this, while looking at what the artist wanted me to see. And that's the beauty of albums as well. It's not just a one-off track. The album, inevitably, an album tells a story. It tells you what was in the artist's head. It's what they were thinking, and it could be what they were thinking over a week. It could have been what they were thinking over a couple of years. It just depends what that artist, what that singer or songwriter or rapper or whoever, what they were going through at the time. And they've put those thoughts down onto paper, onto a keyboard, onto a guitar, onto a set of decks, whatever, and they've made this work of art. And that is what you have. You are left with these beautiful pieces of art to look at, to listen to touch, to feel, to smell in some cases. Old records have a certain smell about them, and it is all part of a complete sensual experience, not just in the listening. This isn't just pressing a button on your phone. This is experiencing music, experiencing music, and it's experiencing it in a way the artist wanted you to experience it. And I know there's nothing as good as listening to your favourite artist live, but this is about the next best thing, really. It's experiencing their music in the way they wanted you to, and that's about as close as it gets, really, in my opinion anyway. The big question: do records sound better? Better than what? Do records sound better than tapes? Yeah, can do. Do records sound better than CDs? Yes, in my opinion. Do all records sound better? I mean, that's a better way to do it. Let's do this. Do all records sound better? No, they don't. Records are funny things. If you look after them and you've got a really good sound system and a really good turntable, a really good amplifier, and you've got the perfect listening room with the right spatial dynamics and the right acoustics going on, yes, records can sound incredible. They can sound amazing. To the average person, on an average record player with an average amplifier and a standard room, no, not always. Records don't always sound better. They click every now and again. You get specks of dust that gets picked up by the needle. You can get warps in records. You can get background noise. You can get humming if it's not earthed correctly. There's all these things that can occur. So no, in a sense, they don't sound better. But it depends what you mean by the term better. I did hear somebody once say on a radio that music, when it's on vinyl, has background noise, and you can't ever escape that. And their explanation of this was, do you know what? Life has background noise. If you want a crystal clear, perfect digital recording, fine, go download or go wherever it is, find yourself some sort of, what do they call it, a lossless, perfect digital version of a song. Brilliant. If we're saying the best possible way to listen to your album, if we're saying the best possible way of listening to your artist is to go see them live. That's not perfect music. You've got a crowd behind you. You've got the artist jumping up and down on stage. You've got all kinds of stuff going on. So the music there isn't clear and crisp at all. Do I want my music to be clear and crisp and perfect? No, not all the time. If I'm listening to a classical piece, do I want to hear any kind of background noise? Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes you can hear music picked up from the violinist, arms moving. You can, the fabric in their clothing moves, and that is all picked up. The woodwind section, when they breathe in before they blow into their trumpet or their oboe or whatever, you hear that sometimes, and that is all part of the music. When a guitarist is moving around, you hear sort of wobbles and changes in the sound. You hear people in the background sometimes. There's moments on quite a lot of records, especially like rock records, where you hear the people talking in the background. You hear cheering or shouting or something. And that's life. That is background noise of life. And I think that is important in any musical recording. I think if you're trying to find music that is absolutely crystal clear with no background noise, no fuzz, no anything, you're going to struggle. And then, yes, fine, go digital. Don't bother with record. You're not going to find that kind of crystal clear clarity. But what records do have, I think, is they have feeling, they have warmth, they have a depth which you cannot get from other formats. And it's hard to explain unless you're listening to it. Now, I'm not someone who can describe the sort of all the different ins and outs of an audiophile's hearing. I don't have that kind of level of hearing. My hearing isn't that good. But there is something I love about hearing a slight crackle every now and again, a little pop when a tiny fleck of dust hits the needle. There is kind of a tactile depth to records that you don't have with other formats, especially well looked after ones. Now, yes, if you've got a really badly looked after record or a badly pressed record, then it can be a real pain. Sometimes it makes it unlistenable. I do have a record that I bought recently. It was supposed to be a special edition, and it arrived, and I was really excited about it. And to be honest, the recording was awful. I'm never usually one to pick up. I'm not one of these guys you'll see writing on Amazon saying how bad a pressing was. But this was terrible. It was so bad I couldn't listen to it, and I had to send it back. And it does happen every now and again. So they're not perfect. But like I said earlier, it's not just about the sound. Do records sound better? No. No is the obvious answer. Do all records sound better? No. Do general records sound better? No. Is the experience of listening to a record better than listening to a CD? Yes. Hands down. Is it better than listening to a digital recording? Yes. Yes, it is. Strangely, I think the two most similar formats are, if I can find it, those, because they're real. They're physical format. They're analog recordings, and there is something about that makes them higher quality, in my opinion. And don't get me wrong, if you have a really good turntable and a really good amplifier, you can get some amazing sound quality out of your records. And if you've got a good cassette player, you can get amazing quality out of your cassette too. But I think this is the essence of it. It is not all about the sound quality. If you are in pursuit of absolute perfect sound quality, I wouldn't bother with records. You're not going to find it. Especially if you're the average Joe. If you've got thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds to spend, then yeah, you probably will find absolute perfect condition records and an absolutely perfect record player and an amazing amplifier. But you're talking about spending thousands, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands on audio equipment. And you could probably pay for the band to play live for that cost. If you want to listen to Tom Misch at his absolute best, if you've got 100 grand to spend, you could probably pay for him to come to your house and play for you personally, I'd imagine. So why bother? I think you can go too far trying to pursue the ultimate sound of records. Be happy with what you can get, and be happy with what your budget can allow for. I certainly am. I've never really sat and listened to a record and then thought, do you know what, records are rubbish, I'm not going to bother, they just don't sound good enough. They sound amazing. They really do sound amazing, as long as you're willing to put up with, like I said, the background noise that is almost the background noise of life, really. So that's it. I think that's my opinion. Do they sound better? It's up to you. It's your decision. You decide. Have a go. See what you think. I certainly think they are a better format. That's my answer. They're a better way to listen to your music and experience your music. That's my answer. So there we have it. Why vinyl? Because it's amazing, because records are amazing, because albums are incredible, and because it's such a sensory experience to listen to. Are they the best sound quality? No, not always, but that's not what they're for. And what do you think? What's your opinion? Stick a comment below and we'll have a discussion. We'll see what you think. Do you prefer records over tapes? Do you think CDs were better? What was your favourite format over the years? Can you get the ultimate in sound perfection quality from a record? Is it possible to get the perfect, crisp, clear sound without going down the digital route? I don't know. Do you love records? Don't you love records? If so, why do you love them? If not, why don't you love them? Leave your comments and we'll see where we go. All right. So thank you very much for watching or for listening, and I will catch up with you again soon. Take care, guys. Bye.